Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today there's quite a lot of crazy stuff going on that needs to be covered. However, man, a couple of cryptos like Solana, they've really been biting the dust. And there's actually a couple of cryptos out there right now that are my favorite that are not doing too well. For example, today, some of my favorite cryptos like Hedera and XDC are amongst the top losers of the day, which is not so nice to see. In the top winners is Trust Wallet Token and Algorand, and I'm a pretty big fan of Algorand, so that is nice to see. But generally speaking, the market has not been doing too much since I last covered it. Yes, we're up roughly about 1% throughout the last day or so, but still right now the market is not even at $800 billion. The top 5 cryptos here are not even up 1%. There's a couple of outliers, like for example Dogecoin, in the top of the top that are doing good, but the rest is all in really neutral territory. Having said that, let's quickly first cover what's going on with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Two very important parts, so let's cover that. Bahamian regulators say they've seized $3.5 billion worth of assets from FTX. The SEC in the Bahamas announced that it seized $3.5 billion worth of crypto assets from FTX. Per the media release issued on Thursday, the Bahamian authorities said the total amount taken was from FTX's Bahamian subsidiary, FTX Digital Markets, along with added funds that has been, that has been moved into its own digital wallets for safekeeping, which is interesting. Doesn't necessarily sound safe, but it's interesting. The commission had previously said that it was holding some of the exchange's assets, but failed to disclose the total sum thereof. Apparently, this already happened about a day after FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on November 12th, which just makes me realize how quickly time moves, guys. The fact that that already happened on November 12th is wild. Now, apparently there's a little bit of a battle going on though, because some people are stating that, well, they didn't have the right to seize all these assets, and that's going to be an interesting little situation over the next couple of weeks. The FTX debtors have informed the Bahamas Commission that none of Mr. Beckman-Fried, Mr. Wang, or the Bahamas Commission had a right to take cryptocurrency of the FTX debtors. So that's going to be an interesting little story developing. In regards to what's going to happen to Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried, well, apparently, and again, this is just allegations, this is just what we found on the web, even though these are very trusted sources, take everything you find regarding FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried with a grain of salt, as a lot of it is based on hearsay. Now, Sam Bankman-Fried is apparently set to enter not guilty plea in the FTX fraud case. Mr. Bankman-Fried is accused of illegally using FTX customer deposits to support his Alameda Research hedge fund, buy real estate, and make millions of dollars in political contributions. However, apparently he does not want to say, yeah, I did all of it, even though his two biggest counterparts, Mrs. Don't even know what her name is anymore, and Mr. Wang, his co-founder, Caroline Allison is her name, okay, I remember. Yeah, they basically already took the deal. They already said, yeah, we did it, that was really bad, really stupid of us, but we won't do it again. And apparently this man is going to plead to not guilty and just claim innocence or ignorance. I kind of understand it though, because he's facing up to 115 years in prison if convicted, so there wasn't really any other way than for him to go on this battle of, nah, I'm not guilty, I didn't do that. However, yeah, Caroline Ellison and Mr. Wang kind of messed him up then, because both of those two guys pled guilty. And I'm honestly thinking they've done that to be off the hook before Sam Bankman-Fried and basically push everything on top of him. That's again my own expectation. There's also a question that was looming. Did he just cash out like $700,000? Yeah, some on-chain sleuths were basically going through trying to find out exactly what happened to $700,000 of Mr. Bankman-Fried's money. But since so many pieces of this puzzle got deleted, I'm going to claim this as, well, it was just a story, because Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried himself came out to state that this is not true. He said, none of these are me. I am not and couldn't. If you're hearing stuff outside, by the way, you guys all know why, right? It's New Year. What can I say? But I'm not and couldn't be moving any of those funds. I don't have access to them anymore. I believe it is likely the case that various legit legs of FTX have the ability to access these funds. Hopefully that's what's happening here. If not, hopefully one steps in soon to do so. I would be happy to help advise regulators on this if any want it. Now, the reason I'm always strongly against these guys saying, oh no, I don't have the power to do so is because you do. You do. You do. You do. You cannot come here as a grown-ass man tell me that you once had control over certain assets and now can't control them anymore if they're in the crypto space. The only way in which this is possible is if they were moved already and you don't have control over this new place, so to speak, this new set of addresses, this new set of private keys. Because in theory, this man could have had a list of 100 wallets, could have written down every single one of the private keys, and kadaboom bada bing bada bing bing. Ain't no way anybody's gonna ever steal his stuff, because that guy could just be moving it and say, oh, it ain't me. And the same thing goes for a hack, you know? oh, the money got hacked. It was, it was hackers. Ooh. When you just literally moved your own money to a different wallet. I mean, how are people going to find out that it was you who moved the money from one place to another if all you're doing is placing one transaction and not moving it from that new wallet, for example? So this little defense, in my opinion, does not necessarily hold up so tightly. However, if you dive deeper into this story, again, I'm not saying that it was Mr. Beckman-Fried. Bo Tide Iguana is being pretty confident in explaining why this is very, very odd for a court-appointed insolvency practitioner to do it through this manner, to basically launder all the money. It will be very odd for them to do so. Which, yeah, I can only say I kind of agree with it. It does indeed sound quite strange for this to not be him or one of his subsidiaries, one of his guys, basically. On the complete opposite side, FTX is doing some good stuffs. For example, their subsidiaries from Japan and I believe the US, they were not really in any trouble at all, right? And so Japan, not US, but Japan only, is apparently already going to allow people to withdraw their money pretty soon. They confirmed on Thursday that customer withdrawals will begin again over in February. In order to receive funds, affected customers will have to set up an account with Liquid Japan, and Japanese customers will be among the first to access billions in misused funds by the now defunct exchange. Because, well, there's a couple ways to see all this. One of the things, for example, Mr. Sam Beckman-Fried says or has thought of is, well, okay, let me actually say he didn't say that. This is just something I'm thinking because I don't know exactly what he said and I don't want to paraphrase something that might be taken the wrong way. But what I've heard and what I've thought is that some of these guys are thinking of just using all the money that's in FTX right now to build their system out better, to basically get more investors, make more money, to be able to pay all the people back, instead of just paying all the people back a portion of what they initially had. And what I'm trying to say with that is, if you really think about how much money FTX has, it's still quite a lot. And so I don't think people would get pennies on the dollar. I think they'd be getting a pretty huge amount. It's only the investors that would kind of get screwed, and potentially Alameda, I guess, because they'd have to liquidate everything. But in theory, if we count up all Alameda and FTX's assets, I think people get a pretty juicy chunk of the money back. The only problem, again, is that a lot of this money is very illiquid. And I think the moment that Alameda starts to cash out significantly, the whole crypto market's going to crash even further because they own so many juicy altcoins and such good chunks of them too. One of those cryptos that's falling pretty significantly is, for example, Solana. We've all seen that the crypto's not been doing too well. It's fallen in the rankings quite significantly, and that's also because Alameda was also heavily involved under Solana. There's a couple other VC-backed cryptos that are, well, significantly big that had a very big influence from Alameda, as they were just investing a ton. The newer crypto like Sui and Aptos, for example, the big killers in the crypto game. Yeah, they were gonna go insane based on the premise and the idea that Alameda was backing them and they were going to get guaranteed listings on all these centralized exchanges and whatnot. Now that that's fallen apart, yeah, a lot is definitely crumbling. And the moment that Alameda has to liquidate everything that they've got, it's going to be a pretty interesting additional winter piece. And I kind of wonder if they're going to do that rather quickly, or if it's going to be happening very far into the future, or if they're going to do it really slowly to make sure that this new crypto winter doesn't happen that way. We're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. All I'm going to say for right now, guys, is Happy New Year. Thank you for watching, I guess, around this time when you could also be doing something else, so I appreciate that. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video tomorrow, hopefully with some more juicy news. There's some Cardano pieces, some Polygon pieces, but really not too much juice except for this FTX story, which honestly is still pretty damn crazy. Ooh, voice crack.